Oh, yeah.
Do you love me?
Yes, I love you.
I love you, man.
I love you, man.
I love you.
What's up, riders? Old Man Ronin here. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, you can see we're doing a little editing, but I thought I'd pause for a moment to remind you of the New Year's Eve live stream at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's our very first one. We're not sure how it's going to go. It's either going to be a train wreck or train wreck. Well, I hope you enjoy this video you're watching now, and we'll see you on New Year's Eve. Well, it's a little chilly today. Most of the snow that we had the other day is gone. It's, I mean, there's still a lot. We had like 8 inches of snow, but it warmed up and started raining last night to like 40-some degrees, and any place that the snow was, it's gone. So I think the time I left this morning, it was 42 to 46. I'll put the Celsius up there in the corner like I always do. You know, frequent watchers of the channel realize that a couple of weeks ago I did a video, why does the Royal Enfield get so much hate? And it was really well received, because people were saying, you know, hey, there's some reasons, you know, whether it's a guy that tried to review the motorcycle without even riding one, or just because of the fact that it's made in India and it's low cost means it's no good. You know, we went all through that, but we're going to describe the a few things which make people love the Himalayan. So this is going to be a good video for you all, so I hope you really enjoy it as we slip through the snow and the ice. So what do you think the reasons why people do love Royal Enfield Himalayans? Well, let me give you the first on the list, what I think, and it's history. You know, Royal Enfield has been in business since 1901, which makes it the oldest continuous running motorcycle company in the world, and that's important. A lot of people really want that history. They want to be a part of it. I know that's kind of one of the reasons why Triumph and Harley Davidson have such a big following, is because of the history. Now, you can also throw Indian motorcycles in there as well too. However, they haven't really been continuously in operation. They go in and out of business about every 25 years. So, and I think they're here to stay now with Polaris behind them. You know, the guys that made Victory motorcycles, I think they're going to stay for a while. But reality is, Royal Enfield has been around such a long time. It's got a huge following. I mean, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, motorcycle manufacturer in the world. And that kind of history means that people are going to be fans of it. You know, like the Harley fanboys, like myself, or the Triumph fanboys, well, like myself. I love both of those motorcycles, and this is my very first Royal Enfield, the Himalayan, and I simply love it. So, am I a fanboy? You know, I'm a fanboy of the Himalayan. I desperately want to ride some of the other motorcycles and see if they fit the realm as well too, because I'm telling you, these things are fantastic motorcycles, and the fact that it's a historical brand is really important to me. See, I've owned Triumphs, obviously Harley Davidson, now Royal Enfield. I've never owned an Indian. I've ridden a few of them, but really the top big three, in my opinion, are the Royal Enfield, the Harley Davidson, and the Triumph. Not necessarily in that order, obviously, but I'll tell you, I really do enjoy this motorcycle, and I simply cannot wait to get my hands on an Interceptor or a Continental, or even the new Meteor. That thing looks like it'd be a blast. You know, a little 350 just to scoot around on. I think it'd be similar to what this is like, as far as, but in a more cruiser / sportier style. So that I think that'd be a fun motorcycle to ride. But getting back to one of the reasons why I think it's such a great brand is because of the history. You know, I mentioned in the other video about the hate that, you know, all motorcycle companies have ups and downs. I don't care what brand it is, ooh, a little bit of ice here. We got to watch ourselves. Again, wintertime in Ohio riding, you've got to really pay attention. But no matter what brand it is, you know, every company has its ups and downs, and Royal Enfield is now on one of the big ups. And I tell you what, I'm really proud of the company and what they're doing. In particular, introducing a affordable ADV bike, which brings us to reason number 2. This thing is ruggedly built. I'll tell you, it fits or clicks all the buttons when it comes to something that is rugged. A small, long-stroke engine that is easy to work on. The fact that you can take it pretty much anywhere you want to take the motorcycle, off-road, on-road, it'll do anything you ask it, and it's built very, very strongly. I love the fact that it's a chain drive as opposed to a belt drive, and anybody that's ever ridden a motorcycle off-road knows you do really want a belt drive. You want a chain drive because the fact that you don't want to get stuff underneath that belt. I know a lot of guys are building scramblers with the Harley Davidson, and they're leaving the belt drive on, and I always tell them, man, don't do that, don't do that. Put a chain drive on there, because if you do get a little rock, the chain will crush it, whereas the belt, it'll just pop the belt right off, and that's not the place for it. So I think that's important. The fact that it's the rugged design of this motorcycle, because it has very few problems you could have. There's not a lot of electronics. It's you know, you drop this bike with all the guards that are on it that come standard, and the ones that you can add to it. I mean, you've got a bike that's pretty much indestructible, and that's really important, especially for doing off-road or this kind of riding here, because you never know, if I hit a patch of ice, I'm on my butt, well, on my side or whatever. And that's, you know, like I said, this bike is rugged and it can take it. I don't really want to do that, but it can take it. So that rugged design is really, really important for me. Which brings us segue to the next point, which means the simple design of the motorcycle. Anywhere in the world, you're bound to find a mechanic that knows how to work on this motorcycle. It doesn't have a lot of extra electronics that is either needless or really isn't applicable by the time you're riding. It's very simple. It's a single cylinder. It's not water cooled. There's not a lot of extra computer stuff on it. You can basically get it running with just a few wrenches and a voltmeter. If you've got that ability, you could keep this thing going. And the simplicity of the design, meaning it's got a big 21-inch tire to roll over bigger obstacles. It's got a lot of ground clearance. The bike was designed by the guy, which I do not know his name, but I'll put it in the comments below. It was designed by the same guy who had designed the Multistrada for Ducati years ago. And that, to me, is very important, because the Multistrada is a fantastic motorcycle as well too. But he designed this bike to fit the needs of the folks in India and beyond. And if you've ever watched any of the Moto Madness videos showing all the riding ability, riding in India, holy Toledo, you're glad that you have a motorcycle that is, number one, inexpensive, easy to work on, but can handle all kind of crappy roads. And if you can ride a bike in India, you can ride a bike anywhere. Which brings us to our next point. This bike, you know, I think one of the earlier marketing messages that Royal Enfield used for the Himalayan was built for all roads or no roads. And what I found out is that is exactly true. This motorcycle can go anywhere, given the right tires. Now, I'll put a little section here. I'll talk a little bit, but I'll put some of the springtime off-road stuff that I was doing right here. And you can see that I was taking it in some deer trails, and I just put it and let it run. It's almost like a tractor. It would go up and down the hills without any issue. And I'm riding deer trails and some of the motorcycle trails that a lot of guys ride with dirt bikes, and I was right there with them, given the fact that I haven't changed the tires yet. And that attitude right there means that it's going to go anywhere you want it to go. Even on the highway. I was watching another YouTuber who took the bike, and he said he got 82 miles an hour out of it. He did a few modifications to it, but But the fact of it is you can get 80 miles an hour out of this motorcycle, which I'm not saying you can. I've never had it that fast. The fastest I ever had is like 75, 76. And you know, that's pegging the attack, and I don't really want to go too high on that. But regardless, if you're up there at 70 miles an hour, you're doing pretty much any of the highway riding that you want to do. I wouldn't personally do it all day. I'd ride 65 mile an hour roads all day, but I wouldn't do the 70 mile plus roads all day. That's just something that I think would be a little bit too hard on this motorcycle, because it is only a 411 cc's, correct? So I would think that the fact that it can go on those highways, it can go on all the smaller roads as well too, and more important, better than any other small or even large dual sport or ADV bike, I should say just ADV bike, better than any ADV bike, whether it's small or large, this thing is the best one off-road. You put the right tires on it, man, you can go anywhere. Now, it is heavier than a lot of dirt bikes, and it is heavier than a lot of other smaller ADVs, but that's okay, because you're going to be dropping those other bikes more than you're going to be dropping this one. I know, I went there, didn't I? But the reality of it is, this bike is very good on all roads, and I think that's one of the things that adds to its lovability. The thing can go anywhere. You don't need to have a like, say, if you can only afford one bike, this is a good bike for you, because you can have it on pretty much all the good roads that you drive around your house, or on a small trip or things like that. Didn't say it, but you can go on all the places like that, and you can take it off-road and do some dirt trails, or you can take it on an excursion like I'm planning on the Trans-America Trail, where there's, you know, basically trails. And I don't even know if they're going to be as rough as some of the trails that I've got with my deer trail on the property that I go on, because those are pretty rough. They're almost straight up and down in some places, and I had absolutely no issue with this motorcycle. Like I said, the only time I've ever had a problem off-road with this motorcycle is when I was in really heavy mud right after it rained, and the side of the hills, it was a little too slick, and the tires that come on it just aren't built for that, and so they kind of I had to turn around because I couldn't crest that really steep 45-degree hill. It was a little too much for the tires that I have on. But other than that, given the right tires, I guarantee you I would have been able to climb that hill without any problem. And again, the other bikes that were out there were using, you know, big fat knobbies, and I don't have that on here. I've got my, they say 50-50, but there's no way. These are 70-30 at best, and I even say 80-20. Now you'll notice I'm testing some new gloves. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but we're giving them a shot and see how they're performing. So far, they're okay. They have better dexterity than the Kimimoto, and I like that. But we'll see how they held up as far as rain and waterproof and cold. They're nice looking gloves, and they're if you see on the screen there, they're touch tone phone capable. So that's a pretty big plus. But we're gonna back off to that and go back to the love of the Himalayan. Again, we've come down to the list that we had so far. We talked about its durability. We talked about its simple design. We talked about the history. Let's talk about what I think is the #1 reason why this bike is getting so much love. This thing is so much fun. It is without a doubt, the most fun motorcycle I have in my stable. And you guys know what we have. We got a couple Sportsters. We've got a Road King. We've got a Dyno. We've got a Softail. We've got pretty much all the Harley lines. And of course, I'm including my old Triumph. I had a Speedmaster and an old Bonnie. And I'm also including my Norton 850 Commando. And I'm also including the 650 Hondas the Honda that I had, the Magna that I had, the GS Suzukis that I had. This bike is more fun than any of those bikes. In fact, the only bike that it comes close to being as fun as is my old Harley XLCH 1966 shovelhead that I literally put knobby tires on and rode it off-road like a dirt bike when I was 14 years old. which meant I always had to ride with a buddy, because when I dropped it, I couldn't lift it. No, I could, but it was a lot easier having my buddy with me to help me lift that big old pig. But I mean, that was a fun motorcycle, man. And I was just learning how to ride back when I was 14 on a bigger bike. Before that, I had dirt bikes, and that was my first street bike, and it wasn't legal to ride on the road, so I took it off-road. But this bike right here is equally, if not more, fun for me, because guess what? I can do that. I can take it off-road. I can take it on-road. My dirt bikes, yeah, I used to ride. We had a highway back where I'm from. It was being built. It's called US Route 30, Lincoln Highway. And back in those days, it was just being in construction. It took years and years for them to build it. So back then, I'd take my dirt bikes on it, and I would just rev it up as fast as I go, straight line, zoom, in between Massillon and Canton, Ohio. And I had a blast doing that. Totally illegal, I know. But I had a riot doing it. But those bikes weren't able to go on the highway like this one is. They'd rev out too easy. I'd maybe get 55, 60 miles an hour out of them, and they'd be like, "Wah!" as fast as it could go. Well, this bike, I can do highway speeds, and I can do it comfortably without any issue whatsoever. But the sheer fun of this motorcycle is, I think, one of the reasons why it is loved by everybody that's ever ridden one. They are just fantastic. And I think that's critically important when you're looking at a motorcycle, no matter what model it is. And again, you're never going to hear me badmouth another motorcycle. I might joke on Honda a little bit, because you have to, right? But the reality of it is, this motorcycle is a ton of fun. It's inexpensive. That's another reason you could throw in there like an honorable mention. It's affordable. It's got a fantastic design. It's a lot of fun, like I said. It's simple design. It's rugged as hell. And of course, it's got the history to go along with it, which makes it a motorcycle for the world. And I think that's really what is probably the biggest aspect of why it's loved. It is truly a global motorcycle. You don't have to be a rich person and buy an expensive German motorcycle or a Harley Davidson. You don't have to be a person who is struggling to make a loan that's going to take 10 years to pay it off. These things are only like $5,000 out the door in a lot of places. Now, other places are not. But it is for everybody, and you can buy them used too. I'm telling you. Well, I really hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell notification button. Share and comment. I read all the comments, and I comment on as many as I possibly can. Make sure you have a great Happy New Year, folks. 2021 is going to be a hell of a lot better than 2020. It has to be, right? It can't get any worse. Until next time, ride safe and keep her on two wheels, baby.